All right, well, welcome everybody. I just wanted to first say thank you to Tandem for that amazing taco bar and everything. I think that really set the appropriate mood. We're in San Diego celebrating, so thank you. But I just wanted to say who I am real quick. I'm Dr. Jeremy Pettis. I'm an endocrinologist at the University of California, San Diego. Most importantly, I've had type 1 myself for 23 years. Thank you. Which apparently makes me seasoned. I'm a little upset about this because actually there was a number of emails that went back and forth on the TCOID gang about what kind of increments we could make. And I said, we were originally going to do like yearly or every 5 years. I said, that's too many. Let's just do 3 categories: newbies, seasoned, and legends. And of course I get here, and the categories that I created, I'm like, man, I should have made myself a legend. But anyway, so for whatever reason, I didn't do that. But so real quick, this is a taking control of your diabetes, or a TCOID group effort. So who here has been to a TCOID conference of some kind before? Okay. So I'm actually happy to see it's about 50-50. So half of you or so have been, half of you haven't. And what TCOID does, we do many things, but the thing that we do best is putting on these educational conferences across the country. They're day-long conferences, kind of 9 to 5 type thing on a Saturday. But when we designed this conference, we wanted to do something different. First of all, Steve and I, for the longest time, I wanted to do something dedicated to type 1s. And we knew we had to make it a little newer and a little cooler. And so we wanted to, do a whole weekend. And then we thought, gosh, we don't want to call it a conference. It's going to be a retreat. And, we want to have some drinking and some fun stuff and then learning. And there's got to be paddle boarding. And so this is kind of how one was born. And the whole idea, a lot of people have been asking me lately, what's the idea? What's the meaning behind this? And it's pretty simple. It's just getting folks like us together to learn about diabetes, not just from people speaking up here on the podium, but from people, I heard people out on the dinner tables tonight showing their pumps, like, oh, I have a Tandem, why do you have that? I have a Medtronic. People showing their Frezza, and they didn't know what that was, and passing it around and taking hits of it and everything. And that just gets me so excited for this conference because there's so much for people to learn here, and I just think there's a great energy that I'm really excited about. And the group at TCOID, by the way, is a group of about 12 people that puts on all of this and all these conferences across the country. It really is a fantastic group of individuals, so my hats off to all of you. Round of applause for that. So, we do a lot of talks at TCOID, and the one talk that we always do is a panel of type 1s. And I always ask them, what's made the biggest difference in your life in terms of living with diabetes? And so often I hear meeting somebody else with type 1, because for me it was 20 so years, or maybe 15 or so years with type 1 before I met anybody else with type 1. And now just look around the audience. So raise your hand if you have type 1 diabetes. So yes. This is a very large group of a lot of people with type 1. So a round of applause for that, I think. Okay, and to portion it out a little bit more like I wanted to, raise your hand if you are a newbie, less than 5 years. Okay, so a lot of newbies. Welcome to the team, newbies. It's really fantastic. And what about people who have had it over, let's say, 30 years to start with? Okay. What about over 40 years? Okay, and over 50 years? Wow, so that's pretty amazing. So, I think that's interesting because what you'll learn when you talk to people is where you come into this disease, people's perspective is different. So when I talk about when I was first diagnosed and I had a meter that took 60 seconds to get a result, and I was on regular NPH, all the newbies look at me and they say, God, you didn't have a pump, you didn't have a CGM, how did you do it? And all you legends are like, boo-hoo. I had bamboo needles that I had to boil, or whatever it was. I don't know what you guys did, but so there's so much collective knowledge in this group that's really, really impressive. And I just wanted to say with that we're in the majority here, which is really, really nice. So if your blood sugar gets low, it's okay. We got you. If your stuff starts beeping, don't run out of the room because there's going to be a lot of buzzing and beeping. Just let your pumps hang out. Just let them all hang out. Everything hangs out. And, I have all these notes. I don't usually take notes, but I don't have a concluding statement other than to say that I'm just so excited that everybody's here. I'm really looking forward to this weekend. The speakers we have, give me a break. These are people that are premier speakers in their field, and I'm excited to sit with you all and learn from them. And these are people that have dedicated their time flying across. Whoever that is, get out. Just get out. Anyways. All right, well, I'll just conclude with saying thank you all for being here. Please come up and introduce yourself, say hi to me. I'm not as extroverted as Steve, so, there's 3 co-directors of this conference, technically myself. Dr. Tricia Santos is next, who's gonna come say hi, and then Steve's gonna take us home. So thank you very much for being here, and I look forward to meeting all of you. All right.
Hate following Jeremy because he comes in, makes the crowd explode, and then I get up here and say something kind of quiet and boring. And also the podium is too high for me, and Jeremy's microphone's always up here. So anyway, I want to introduce myself. My name is Tricia Santos. I'm an endocrinologist. I work here in San Diego at the University of California. I trained under Dr. Steve Edelman, which you can imagine was very educational but also entertaining. And if anybody is interested in stories about working with Dr. Edelman, I'd be happy to give them to you throughout the weekend. So before we get started, I do want to echo Jeremy's comments that I want to thank Tandem for putting on a great taco bar for us to kind of kick off the weekend. And I also really want everyone to give... And I want to give a huge round of applause again to the TCOYD team. I think we can't thank them enough. You have no idea how much heart and work went into this weekend, and it's really a small number of people that made this happen. So thank you again to the team. So I will just give you, I don't have any big funny stories, but I will say a couple of things. Number one, I don't have diabetes myself. And, TCOYD is definitely a place where I feel like a bit of an outsider every time we have a conference. And I think it's unusual to feel that way, right? Where I'm the one without diabetes and I feel a little bit like, gosh, I can't quite understand what you're going through, but I think I can. So, and even more so, I work with Jeremy and Steve and even hang out with them socially, and they never hesitate to make me feel like a total loser just because I don't have diabetes. So you can be rest assured that you will feel important and special this weekend. And I have to say that, when I went into endocrinology, I had no intention of specializing in diabetes. And it was really Steve Edelman that made me love diabetes and made me want to kind of make that my area of interest. And I think that really extends into what TCOYD is, because there's a lot of different diabetes organizations out there. There's local organizations, there's local groups, there's national organizations. But for those of you who know TCOYD, what you know is that this is different. And it's not just about what's the latest research and where are we with the cure or where are we with artificial pancreas. It's about bringing you all of that up-to-date information, but more so it's about the person. And I think that's what Steve Edelman taught me about diabetes and about treating people with diabetes, and that's what TCOYD is about. It's really about the patient, the person who has diabetes, and their loved ones. And so I really hope that you all feel that this weekend and you enjoy it as much as we think you will. So thanks for coming.
Gosh, well, you guys are unbelievable. Jeremy and Tricia, the rising stars of TCOYD, working with a really hard group of people. who put this conference on. You know, we've been putting on conferences, as Jeremy said, one day only, Saturday, and they're really good conferences, type 1, type 2 track, but putting on 3 days is a lot of work. And the folks at TCOID have been unbelievable. And just walking into the health fair and sitting out there when you guys are having tacos, the excitement is palpable. And it's something that I haven't felt in 22 years at the other conferences, seriously. And I love every single one of them. And one of you folks came up to me and said, this is like a summer camp for adults, you know? So I think you're right. Now, so I want to show you something that's amazing. Okay, this is where we are, where that big star is. And now you're going to see these yellow stars, and these are the states where our speakers are coming from. You can see all over, including Canada. And he was afraid that Trump was going to not let him back, but other than that, he came undercover. And then you're not going to believe, then we have Alaska. You can see, well, this is the United States. These are not even all the cities of where you folks are from. 600 folks with type 1, if you can believe that. And then we even got some folks from Alaska and Hawaii. Yeah. Now, if you can believe it, 8 cities in Canada. All right. So, I mean, it's amazing. And when I thought about today, and I didn't really have any prepared comments for this morning, I'm thinking, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? But as I walked around this afternoon, you know, what I saw was, you know, an incredible, diverse number of people. I mean, we have all the newbies with type 1 who got a CGM like in the first couple days. Those son of a bitches. And Jeremy, you bamboo needles. I'm not going to forget that one. And you know, and these are people who may have had awesome caregivers, and then you got people who got type 1 when they're older, the LADAs, and then there's a bunch of us who have had type 1 a long time, and some of us have done really well from the beginning. You had a supportive family, you had a great doctor, you went to a diabetes center, and others had it tougher. You know, I met several folks here today who have a brother and sister. A brother and sister are here who both have type 1. And, you know, one got it 2 years before the other one, and you know, they're blaming each other for it. And I said, no, it's your parents' fault, for sure. You know, so there's just amazing diversity. And some folks have complications. I met a woman here tonight who had a Joslin medal, 50 years. They don't give it to you if you have any complications. I would not be eligible. And I don't have any problem with that. But, you know, there's people who, for some reason, whether it's just luck of the draw or bad luck of the draw, or they had years of poor control because they didn't know, they didn't have good caregivers, they didn't have good access to medications. And so we have other people who have no complications at all. And so we all come from different walks of life. And I think one of the most important things we should really do here is acknowledge the folks with type 3 diabetes and the speakers like Tricia and the people who work for the pharmaceutical and device industry who do not have type 1, but they're just as motivated to help folks with type 1. And I think that those folks really deserve a medal. We should give them a little round of applause today. So basically, I think for this weekend, you know, I think it's really an opportunity for you to meet new people, learn as much as you can, either someone you're supporting or if you have type 1 yourself, all the latest advances in diabetes, whether it's newer insulins, whether it's the newer pumps, artificial pancreas, cure-based therapies, how to bolus with trend arrows and protein and fat, and hear what the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation is doing, the Type 1 Diabetes Exchange. Hear from Carrie Sparling, one of the coolest bloggers with type 1 you've ever met. So, I mean, it's really true. Jeremy said, we got the speakers of all speakers. And we really do. So when I was first diagnosed, I'm thinking, I didn't know anybody with type 1. And my first education class I went to, and I'm going to tell you about that tomorrow morning at 9, was a group of people with type 2. I was the only one with type 1. And I had this one song that I used to play in my mind, and this is the song I used to play. It's not really appropriate now. We got some Bob Marley stuff that's going to be different later on. But here's the other thing. I did want to say this, that, we are type 1s. We're quite different than people with type 2. And we're not better, we're not worse, and it's just that it's different. And because, folks with type 2, they get it when they're older. They don't have a lot, there's a greater lack of sense of urgency. They may not feel that bad if they skip their medication or not. And that's just the nature of the beast. I think they have it pretty tough sometimes, actually, too. They got high blood pressure, cholesterol, they got to take a ton of meds. So I thought that the other part of this song was appropriate for any type 2s. All right, well, let's go on. And the way this is going to work, I'm going to say a few thanks. And I'm going to introduce my good friend Earl Hirsch, who's going to introduce his brother. But I want to also thank Tandem. They've been a great supporter. We're working on an artificial pancreas program with them, predictive low glucose response. And so they have been an awesome company, and they make an awesome product. This is a list of all of our sponsors, and you can see Dexcom is the Rage Bolus level, and we see the no-hitter and staying in range, that's Tandem and Mankind, and we have Fuel Injected, we got Sanofi, and then the other folks down below, Priming the Pump, Novo and BD, even Lexicon, who makes the newer SGLT2 inhibitor, Insulet Corporation, the Diabetes Research Exchange, and then Essentia, which used to be Bayer. And so we appreciate their support. I can tell you that putting on a conference for 3 days, renting all the space, it's not cheap. And for those of you who have ever been to Children with Diabetes, Jeff Hitchcock's program in Orlando, I have a greater level of respect for Jeff now. He puts that thing on for 4 or 5 days and probably has to raise $1 zillion. Now, Mankind also is sponsoring our emergency station. It's out in the hallway to your right. We have it covered up now, but we'll uncover it. It's not really meant to take snacks back to your room for later. But I went to Costco and we got the squeezy applesauce things. We got apple juice. How many times you give a talk in your life and they got apple juice for you? Oh no, that's slow gin. Sorry, no, it's not. And we have glucose tabs. Donated by Chris Angel. He was here earlier with his 2 kids. He got type 1 later on in life. He's a Lotta, and he hated the taste of glucose tabs, so he made his own company. And it's pretty much an online company now, but he brought over cherry, berry, and orange cream. So they're so good, you eat them when you're not even low. There's a company called Kula that donated suntan lotion. They know you Canadians are so pale that we didn't want you to go back, sunburned. And so now after we do the intros and we hear from Jim Hirsch, who I'm really excited. I've heard so many good things about Jim. I never had a chance to hear him myself. After Jim finishes, I'm going to come back up and I'm going to give you tell you what's going on tomorrow morning and a little bit of scheduling things so that you can have it in your brain. Everything's in your program guide. So I'm going to invite my good friend Earl Hirsch to come on up. He's here with his wife Ruth. Earl and I are going to be debating tomorrow. Pumps versus MDI. It's been coined as the great debate. And I sent Ruth a message on Facebook. And I don't know anything about Facebook, but I didn't realize the whole world saw it. I said, Ruth, send me some pictures of Earl so I can make fun of him. She goes, sure, Steve, but just to let you know, Earl's on this Facebook as well. So she never sent me any. And Earl is a very well-known and excellent endocrinologist. We both got type 1 when we were 15 years old, and we met at the American Diabetes Association.
I was 6.
You were 6, yeah. You were 6.
Yeah.
Well,
Jim was 15.
how come you look like 6 when you're 15?
Here we go. The debate hasn't started yet.
No. So Earl and I, we were at the American Diabetes Association meeting a zillion years ago. Do you remember this? We're sitting on a bench, and we had never met each other, but we both had been told by other people, hey, you ought to meet Earl Hirsch. And people would say to Earl, you ought to meet Steve Edelman. We were just sitting there taking a break, and we met each other, and then we've been close friends ever since, have done a ton of TCOID conferences in Seattle, and we're going to be probably going back in 2018. Now, we thought, just to get you guys excited, we haven't decided who's going to go first in this debate tomorrow, which is after the workshop. So, Jeremy, if you can come up and flip the coin.
Could you buy a tandem with that?
Just because he doesn't wear a pump, okay, he's, all right.
It says heads on both sides.
Okay, all right,
You gonna call it?
yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna flip it.
heads.
It's heads.
All right, I'm going first.
You going first?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
It's on.
Well, we have a special treat tonight. I thought it'd be only appropriate, hey, that's my quarter. Is that, I'm going to let Earl introduce his brother, Jim Hirsch. So, and Jim, thanks again for schlepping out here for us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.